Hey guys, it's your Kev Missioner here, doing something a little different. Never really done recordings for the CIL, never done recordings for any Pokemon match really. But I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot because I've had a sort of interest in pushing the CIL a little bit further along, but maybe it's not always easy to find time to do it because my schedule's weird. So I decided I'm just gonna start doing some post-com, see how it goes. If you guys like it, maybe I'll keep doing it. If you guys hate it, I might keep doing it anyway because I don't give a shit. Um, this is going to be my first match of week 3 against my good friend, perhaps one of my oldest friends, CastBulu. What his real name is, I have no idea. He probably doesn't have a real name. That probably is his real name. Um, I've got his squad down here in the left-hand corner. It's Mega Lopunny, Tapu Bulu, Nihilego, Vikavolt, Suicune, Dhelmise, Darmanitan, Mimikyu, Kyurem, Shuckle, and Golbat, and he has access to Electrium Z, which means if he brings Vikavolt, it could be very powerful. But luckily for me, I happen to have the Sand Sisters. We got Big Mom and Potamus you see on the screen right now. This is a super standard spread. Basically, it didn't. If I went max Fizdef, it didn't really help that much against Lopunny because it was still. I think it was still 2-hit KO'd by High Jump Kick. So I prefer some special bulk so it could help take on Vikavolt better if necessary. And if he's packing the HP Ice, then that means Drill could come in on it. And if he's packing HP Fire, then he couldn't beat Big Mamapotamus. She also has the Rocky Helmet to punish Lopunny and Dhelmise if it tries to spin. Also, just get some chip on Tapu Bulu if it comes down to that, as well as Darmanitan. Next up, we have Guacamole, the Excadrill, one of the other parts of the Sand Sister trio. It only has 96 speed because that's all I really needed to outspeed his entire team with Sand Up. So the rest went into bulk. Really simple basic set. Thought about SD, but ultimately decided against it because I wanted to be able to spin, and the way the rest of the unit shaped out didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Sia, the Chandelure. I had access to Gracium Z, and the way I saw it, Suicune was kind of mandatory for him because if I brought Swords Dance Scizor, he essentially just lost. So I said, okay, well, he has to bring Suicune because he doesn't want to lose to that. And so Gracium Z on Chandelure made a lot of sense. That's Suicune's one of the few things that could have came in on it. Gracium Z Energy Ball has a chance to KO Max Fizdef Suicune, I think. And if not, it's definitely 2-hit KO'd. So I could have clicked Energy Ball. This also gives me a nice switch into Darmanitan. It really discourages him clicking Fire Blast or Flare Blitz, which is a huge problem for any team. Mine is no exception. And yeah, it takes on a lot of threats on his team. It hits the Vikavolt, it hits the Bulu. It's a good thing to pass speed into. I think I can't remember why 48 speed, honestly, guys. I should probably do this when I'm actually planning it, but yeah. And Memento, in case I wanted to give Big Mamapotamus another chance if Kyurem got worn down, or Manaphy, or Scolipede, or what have you. Yeah. Then I got Frosty, the Kyurem Black. Frosty had to have Hone Claws in order to take on Max Defense Suicune because of pressure and the fact that I only get 8 Fusion Bolts. He could, in theory, stall out my Fusion Bolts, and I didn't want that to happen. So at +1, it's a clean 2-hit KO. I think it does like 55%. Substitute because I saw a few opportunities to get behind subs. If Tapu Bulu is locked into Woodhammer or Hornleech or something, then I get behind a sub. I can sub up on Suicune with this spread. Scald cannot break my sub. I can't really sub up on Dhelmise or anything else really. Shuckle and Golbat actually, but I wanted to have that in my pocket because I thought it'd be effective. We got Poseidon, one of the OGs from the LA Kinglers. Tailglow, Surf, Energy Ball, Ice Beam, probably is about as standard as it gets. Has enough speed to outspeed a non-choice Scarf. Darmanitan, you see Scolipede, Absolem sitting over there. If you've played on the OU ladder at all, you've played against a Baton Pass team with Manaphy, and they're pretty scary. So I figured once I passed some speed into this thing, if it came in on the right Pokemon, he'd basically have to predict when I was going to Baton Pass into this. And once I got the Tail Glow up, it was pretty much game from there. And finally, the Absolem, the Scolipede. We're rocking the Charty Berry because originally the plan was if I seen Nihilego, I'm leading this because I can, if it's Sash, Earthquake will break the Sash and get it down. If it's Scarf, I mean, I'll be faster on the second turn anyway. And yeah, I almost brought Toxic Spikes instead of Protect because I thought, oh man, like, I don't know, I just felt like that was a ballsy play and I really wanted to do it, but I was like, no, it's not worth it because I never know what Blue's gonna do. I know he and I have played a lot, and he's gonna make some aggressive reads at some point. I know for a fact, and I don't want to lose because of aggressive reads. So I want to be able to keep things in my corner. It doesn't need attack investment to Oko Tapu Bulu with Poison Jab, so that's pretty nice. Anything else that might come in on it offensively, I can Baton Pass into a different threat. So I don't really need Sand for Excadrill because I have this, but it helps. Just wanted to have that option available. And so, without further ado, we have, I'll leave his team up there because the skin is acting weird. We have the match. I see the Nihilego. I also see the Shuckle, which I really didn't anticipate. Especially because I have a pretty solid Trick Room mode on this team. So I didn't think he'd bring it. And I didn't see a Suicune, which was crazy to me. Because I was like, oh man, if I brought Scizor, I just won, huh? But I didn't bring Scizor. So he's got a really good team for me. I know he's putting in some good prep. And actually, he's going to upload the battle too. I think he's doing live comm and he's doing a team builder. So I'm going to link his channel down below so you guys can go click it more easily. You're probably going to see his first anyway. That's just my guess. But anyway, so my plan's kind of thrown out the window because I'm like, oh man, he could lead Nihilego, he could lead Shuckle. Both of them are good rocks options for him. Shuckle, I feel like he might want to get webs up early. So if he does that, then I want to lead Kyurem. But if he leads Nihilego, then Scolipede. Ultimately, I decided that I was going to lead Kyurem. And as you see, he led Nihilego. So immediately I knew, crap, I can't just sit here and take a Power Gem. I'm pretty sure that KOs, and I don't want Nihilego to get out of hand this early. So I switch out into Big Mamapotamus because I'm planning on some doubles here. He goes for the Power Gem and the Grass Knot, which I forgot it had, to be honest with you. But I get my rocks up. That's important to me. I go into Drill, who actually takes quite a lot because it's a crit. I go for the Iron Head because I felt that Spin... Or not Spin. I felt that Earthquake would have been. It wasn't necessary. He could have brought in Tapu Bulu on that, and that would be a problem for me because I'm expecting it to be Bandit or Scarf. Most likely Scarf because otherwise Manaphy doesn't even need speed and it would beat it. And like if your Grass type can't beat the opposing Water type, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So Scarf was sort of where I was leaning. So I went for the Iron Head just to prevent anything. He goes into Shuckle, which kind of makes me think that... Ooh, what was that HP bar doing? Which kind of made me think that he was going to go for webs right there. I thought I could KO with Iron Head. If I were adamant, I could have. So this is a deep regret in my team building. But ultimately, I felt that even if it didn't kill, I should be able to play around it with spins and stuff. He has a Figgy Berry. I honestly don't know what that is. It heals a lot. Gets his webs up. I spin. He's going to Encore me, which is an excellent play on his part, which means he can take the Rapid Spin, get webs up again, and then go out into his Dhelmise to block my spin, which puts me in slightly on the back foot. I do feel I can play around it if I go into Scolipede now because Scolipede's pretty bulky, as you can see. It takes that really well. I'm going to get my speed up here. I don't really want him to spin just yet. I'm going to get some damage off on this. I do get a crit, which is nice. And another speed boost. I Baton Pass into Frosty. I kind of wish I would have protected to get a +1 speed. But he goes for the Shadow Claw. Frosty's in. Frosty's dangerous. Ice Beam. 23% left. That hit did 32%. Listen, guys, I'm just trying to have fun out here. I looked at his team and I was like, you know what? I'm really not going to get to click Fusion Bolt the rest of this match because I would click Ice Beam against pretty much everything except I guess the Darmanitan. But I thought this might be a double Scarf match because Scarf Darmanitan is also really difficult for me. So I decided to click Fusion Bolt. And this is obviously a physically defensive Shuckle, which is bad news for me because it lives the Fusion Bolt and it gets up rocks. This is going to be important for later in the match because this actually ended up being a very crucial misplay on my behalf. Now he's got rocks and webs up, and Dhelmise is still pretty healthy, which means Excadrill is going to have a hard time spinning. I still don't think this was game ending. Like I feel, we'll get there. We'll get there. At this point, I'm just annoyed, so I go for the Ice Beam, even though I could have gone for another Fusion Bolt. He goes into Lopunny. I have to go into Big Mompotamus. I think I'm getting up the sand. Fun fact: it doesn't. If you come in on rocks and you die to rocks, the weathers and stuff don't activate. So that was somewhat of a surprise to me. I thought I'd also get some nice Rocky Helmet damage off on it, but that didn't happen because I didn't live the rocks. I don't know why I thought I did, but I didn't. And Lopunny just goes for the old fake out. Chandelure comes in. I have to go for damage on this. I don't know why he didn't go for high jump kick there. That actually ended up being pretty important as well as far as putting me in a position later in the match. The Flamethrower gets enough prior damage off that I know Manaphy can come in later and sweep, and I can live a high jump kick if he decides to go for it. He does take me out with the next return. Manaphy comes out, takes the return really well, which kind of makes me think maybe he wouldn't have lived, but I count it and he should have lived an adamant high jump kick. Now the Bulu's in. I have to switch out because if I want to have any chance against Darmanitan, I'm going to have to probably pass some speed into this later or hope that, I get enough damage off somehow that Scolipede can finish it with Earthquake. So at this point, I'm like, well, I don't have Sand. Drill's going to be outsped by basically everything. I'm just going to sack it, which is exactly what happens because this is a Tapu Bulu. But because of the position I'm in, because the fact that, what's his face? The Dhelmise. Because Dhelmise is weakened, Scolipede can actually win from here. I can't survive a Wood Hammer at 26%. A max... Well, okay, so theoretically I can if he doesn't get a max roll. If he's adamant and doesn't get a max roll, then my spread can live it from here. But I don't want to take that chance, especially if he's banded because he'll outspeed me on the first turn. So obviously I'm protecting. There's no other play for me at this point. He goes for the Wood Hammer. Grassy Terrain actually heals me up just enough that I'm outside of range. The max roll that an Adamant Scarf Bulu can do is 27% from here. So I live it pretty cleanly. If he's banded, it kills. But if he's banded, I'm also faster at this point because this Bulu doesn't have a speed boost here. And I'm back at neutral. So I can KO it with Poison Jab. And at that point, I can also Baton Pass into stuff if I need to, but Scolipede pretty much handles it from here. Unfortunately, we do get crit, and that crit knocks out Scolipede. Bulu, clutch as can be at this point because Scolipede's gone. There's really not anything we can do. I go for the sub just in case he wants to choke some stuff away. I don't know what he's going to do. I am still faster, so I do outspeed with the Ice Beam. I'm not going to say that was a choke because I'm honestly at this point I'm really in no position to win regardless because he has Darmanitan in the back and Sticky Webs are still up. But it makes my differential look a little nicer, so thanks for that, Blue. And he goes out into Bulu here. Obviously, I can't do much against this. He goes for the Superpower. I believe this kills? Yes. Ice Beam takes it out from there, and unfortunately for me, Darmanitan just has to click Flare Blitz to win. My team's a little too weak to this monster, and we are going to go down to a 1-0 loss, unfortunately. Although, you know what? I definitely remember So I don't have the bulkiest Kyurem. I think if he was Scarf, I lived the Flare Blitz, but he was Life Orb, which is why Kyurem went down. I'm pretty confident about that. So that was our week 1 match. Very unfortunate that it sort of came down to one turn. It's also my fault for putting myself in a position where he had the opportunity to crit and win. So it's really all on me in this case, and that's kind of frustrating because if I never got those rocks up, or if he never got those rocks up, it would have been a different game. That's going to be it for me. I don't want these to be too long. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm going to link the KantoCast channels because they have multiple ones. You should definitely check them both out. So there's a sick Fire Emblem series on KantoCast games that you need to see. I'm going to link them both in the description, as well as Twitter's, perhaps. Why not? And yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see more post comms, if you want to see live comms, I'm not going to promise anything, but if there was enough demand, I'd probably do it. So yeah, that's our battle. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one, guys.